God is in control. You know, when I showed up in the faith 17 years ago, you know, I showed up for real. Because my daddy taught me, hey, man, we don't play with God. All right, so, hey, until I was 34 years old, I said, hey, we let them play. I stay on the outside and criticize. Then one day I showed up on the inside of the faith. But at that point, the game was over. This is real, y'all. So when we think about how this pride can ultimately manifest in greed, we realize that this young brother had a condition. I mean, it was really a humility deficiency syndrome. Do you know anybody that's ever had the humility deficiency syndrome called me-itis? Folk with me-itis think it's all about who? Me. And how did they get that notion? They think first of all, the world evolves around me, you know, and everything happens as a result of what I want to happen. And folk like this ultimately think that the job that they have, they're qualified for, big lie, all right? They think the money that they have in their possession, they earn, big lie, all right? They buy things that they can't afford to impress people that don't even like them. It's the truth, all right? And in me-itis, in the midst of me-itis, I realized that there's only one cure to me-itis, and that is the vaccine, he-itis. He-itis is, greater is he who is in us than he who is in the world, all right? Realizing that the only way we can move beyond this self-centered, narcissistic existence is to ultimately acknowledge that there's one in control colder than I. All right, but that's hard for not only this brother to do, but it's hard for many of us to do. Am I right about that? So here we are. Not many days after this moment, not many days after this moment, after emerging, after leaving his father's house, after thinking that his boo-boo didn't stink, all right, just moving way out, the word says, at many days, he journeyed to a far country. And there wasted his possessions with prodigal living. I understand this text intimately because I have wasted my possessions with prodigal living before. So let's talk about this prodigal living. First of all, we realize that when he journeyed to this far country, journeying to a far country wasn't necessarily a physical location. Journeying to a far country can happen while you're sitting in your car. Journeying to a far country can happen while you're standing in your living room. Journeying to a far country can happen while you're sitting in church and making folk think you're praising the Lord, but while really you're sleepwalking, all right? See, we journey to a far country, first of all, in our minds, y'all. You know that? You go somewhere in your mind long before your behind follows it, all right? So in this moment, what he did was he went beyond the place. He went outside of the will of God and found himself consumed in another one of the deadly sins, and that is gluttony, which simply means it was an unreasonable desire to consume more than he could handle. You know, I think one of the reasons we are not granted some of our prayers is because God knows that if we got it, we would be ignorant. I really do. If he put it in your possession, you would be a complete and total idiot in 24 hours. Do you realize that the research says that most of the folk who win the lotto are broke in, 5 years? Give me that money. I'll show you where to be in 5 years, all right? It won't be broke. But the reality is because sometimes we ask for things that we are not prepared to handle. We are not ready for the responsibility. We want more than is required to live a basic life. And I always tell people, most folk don't have enough because they don't know what enough is. You got to know what enough is before you can declare, I have enough. You know? How many of y'all can drive 2 cars at once? Huh? mean, it's a nice concept. But try driving one well. All right? Let me see. Hey, and let's translate it, 2 women at once, 2 men at once, all right? Or 3 or 4.